For 07 a.m., Otay Mesa, San Diego. Marine layer fog sits low over the warehouse roofs. Sodium streetlights burn orange through the haze. And on a dead-end stretch near Marconi Drive, the federal government is about to rip open something that was never supposed to exist: a tunnel, a rail system, an elevator hidden inside a residence in Tijuana, and a trafficking pipeline designed to move multi-ton loads without ever touching a port of entry. What followed would expose the engineers, the money, the human cost. If you want the full truth to reach more people, hit like right now. 6:19 a.m. Still Otay Mesa. A white commercial truck delivers a massive roll-off dumpster into a fence lot at the intersection of Marconi Drive and Enrico Fermi Drive. It looks like trash logistics. It's not. Agents are already watching. Not from one car. From a layered surveillance box. Border Patrol. D partners. The U.S. Attorney's Office. They watch the dumpster back up. They watch men gesture, point, adjust, like stagehands setting a prop exactly on its mark. 10 minutes later, a tarp goes on. Then pallets get moved. And one man later identified as Cruz Armando Parra Corrales drops flat on his stomach, face pressed to the dumpster's underside, appearing to communicate with someone below. No radio, no flashlight, just the posture of someone talking into the ground. If that detail chills you. Comment exposed below. By afternoon, the dumpster moves. It's hauled north to Imperial Avenue near 30th Street, about 25 miles from the border into the sprawl of central San Diego. A second box truck backs up. A tarp gets strung between them like a crude hallway. Men move back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Then the box truck rolls. San Diego County Sheriff's deputies stop it. Inside, 2,240 pounds of cocaine and 11,030 pounds of marijuana. That's not a street deal. That's infrastructure. Because cocaine that heavy doesn't travel by accident. What they find next proves it. Late evening. Otay Mesa lot. Warrants get signed. The lot gets searched. The ground gets tested. And there it is. A 3-foot Homeland exit point hidden under where that industrial dumpster had been placed. A rabbit hole in plain sight. Inside the passageway, agents find 68 bales of marijuana, weighing more than 1,600 pounds. Then, more. An additional 1,430 pounds in the dumpster itself. Total 2,242 pounds of cocaine and more than 14,000 pounds of marijuana. That don't just imply a cartel, they confirm. 1. If you believe these tunnels are a national security threat, type yes now. Because this wasn't an isolated trick. It's part of a pattern, one that keeps evolving. By April 2016, federal officials announced the discovery of one of California's longest cross-border tunnels, more than 800 yards long, from a house in Tijuana to a fenced commercial lot in Otay Mesa. The U.S. exit is a 3-foot hole. At one point, covered by an industrial-sized dumpster. And on the Mexican side, a sophisticated elevator rises from the tunnel into a closet inside the residence. It's not just dirt. It's a system, rails, ventilation, lights, the kind of build that takes planning. Money. And professionals willing to do violence with a blueprint. And here's the part the public misses. Tunnels aren't only about drugs, they're about bypassing the one thing cartels hate most. Inspection. A port of entry is a choke point, a risk. A tunnel is a private highway. No questions, no dogs, no x-ray machines. And when the tunnel has rails, it's not smuggling, it's logistics. What the agencies call the San Diego Tunnel Task Force is built for this exact threat. Interagency, interlocked, Border Patrol, HSID, and the U.S. Attorney's Office working as one. But even that task force can't fight what it can't see. So the fight becomes technology versus geology. Underground work leaves signatures. Vibration. Heat. Power. Draw. Unusual construction. Traffic. The deeper agents dig legally, financially, electronically, the more they find the same pattern repeating. Warehouses in Otay Mesa, industrial zones in Tijuana, quiet streets that aren't actually quiet. If you want more stories like this, hit subscribe so you don't miss the next case. January 29, 2020. San Diego sector. U.S. authorities announced something else. The longest illicit cross-border tunnel ever discovered along the southwest border. Total length 4,309 feet, over 3/4 of a mile. Average depth 70 feet. Dimensions about 5.5 feet tall, 2 feet wide. And it's loaded with the details that scream engineered. An extensive rail, cart system, forced air, ventilation. High voltage electrical cables and panels. A complex drainage system. An elevator at the entrance. Agents mapping it require oxygen canisters. That's how deep the air changes, how the earth closes in, how the border becomes three-dimensional. There's even a property manager turning a blind eye. And a thick upgrade that's actually ventilation for a subterranean corridor. The line between legitimate work and cartel service can blur fast, especially when payments hit in thick envelopes and the questions stop. If you believe professionals who build these tunnels should face the same consequences as traffickers, calm and accountable. Because here is what the public rarely sees. The aftermath. Not just arrest, not just seize product, but the destruction of the tunnel itself. Authorities don't just lock a door. They render the route unusable. They map it, photograph it, measure it, then they disable it. In the 2020 tunnel case, the agencies emphasize a bilateral investigation, cooperation with Mexico's FGR and SEDENA to locate the entrance in Mexico. That detail matters. Because tunnels are international crimes in physical form. They begin in one country. End in another, and require the governments to fully kill and event them. The lesson is brutal. Cartels adapt. When ports tighten, they dig. When tunnels get mapped, they branch. When law enforcement learns the pattern mutates, the fight becomes permanent, and the costs spill into American neighborhoods. Overdoses don't stay in headlines. They land in living rooms, a high school bathroom. A parking lot behind a strip mall. A parent's panic when a bedroom door stays locked too long. And fentanyl changes the math. 2 pounds seized in a tunnel doesn't sound like much to someone reading numbers. But 2 pounds is not the story. Lethality is. This is why agencies call these tunnels one of the most significant threats to national security. Because if you can move drugs, you can move weapons. If you can move weapons, you can move people. And if you can move people, you can monetize desperation. In the shadows, under the ground. If you want these investigations to keep getting covered, share this video before it disappears in the algorithm. Now zoom out. California's border has seen a steady drumbeat of tunnel discoveries. In April 2016, officials say the tunnel dismantled in Otay Mesa is the 13th large-scale operational smuggling tunnel discovered along the California border since 2006. And in the last 5 years from that point, authorities detect more than 75 cross-border smuggling tunnels, most in California and Arizona. That is not a one-off crime. That is an industry. And industries have staffing. They have budgets. They have managers. They have engineers. They have scouts. They have recruiters. And they have one more thing. They have silence. Because silence is what makes a warehouse district perfect. Trucks at all hours. Forklifts constantly. Industrial noise masking drilling. And a landscape where a dumpster is just a dumpster until it isn't. Back to the moment of capture. 6 people get arrested in San Diego and charged with drug trafficking and tunnel-related charges. Conspiracy to import and distribute cocaine. Conspiracy to use a border tunnel names that look ordinary in print. Martiniano Garcia Sedano. Cruz Armando Parra Corrales. Alejandro Bravo. Juan Carlos Chavez Fabian. Alejandro Gomez Baez. Osmo Martinez. But ordinary names can sit atop extraordinary harm. That's how this works. Paperwork names. Warehouse keys. Rent checks. Then a tunnel beneath it all. If you've made it this far, hit subscribe because the next part is what turns a crime story into a civic warning. Because there's a deeper betrayal embedded in every tunnel case. Not just the cartel, not just the traffickers, but the way these routes mock the concept of borders themselves. A border is supposed to be law-made physical, a line enforced, but tunnels make the line meaningless. They rewrite it in concrete and timber and wire. They create a second country beneath the first. And they do it for profit. This is why the language in official statements keeps returning to the same themes. Partnership, technology capabilities, intelligence gathering. Community outrec. These words sound bureaucratic. But what they really mean is this. They need the public. They need tips. They need eyes. Because the next tunnel won't announce itself. And the next shipment won't come with warning. And as long as there's money to be made, someone will always volunteer to build the next route. Not with a gun, with a pencil, with a contractor's license. With a welder's torch. With a degree. If you believe vigilance matters, comment watching. Here's the final reality. Authorities can seize 140 pounds of cocaine. They can seize 14,000 pounds of marijuana. They can pull 5 different drugs out of one tunnel and tag it at $29. 6 million. They can map a 4,309-foot corridor and find an offshoot 3,529 feet into the U.S. And still another tunnel can start tomorrow night. Because the deeper truth isn't about dirt. It's about demand. It's about corruption. It's about systems that get exploited. And the price gets paid by families who never agreed to be part of this war. The story of San Diego's tunnels is a reminder that the border isn't only a fence. It's airspace. It's sea lanes. It's data. And it's underground. Hit like if you believe the public deserves to know how this really works. Comment the word justice if you think tunnel builders should be prosecuted like traffickers. Subscribe if you want the next investigation the moment it drops. And share this story because what's beneath the ground doesn't stay buried forever.